In this video, we're going to work on Chapter 9, Homework Problem 23. If you'd like to follow along, open the Chapter 9 Homework.xlsx workbook from My Courses and click the Prob 23 Worksheet tab. So in this problem, we're supposed to use the data from microprocessor data and decide what happens when a new chip is introduced. Now looking in the data, we have a 1 when a new chip is introduced, and we can kind of see that every time we have a 1, the demand seems to spike. So let's see if our regression bears this out. So I'm going to click any cell within the list, and I'm going to click Data, and then all the way on the right in the Analyze group, I'm going to click Data Analysis. If you do not see an Analyze group or do not see Data Analysis, click File, and then all the way at the bottom, Options. On the left-hand side, click Add-ins, and then next to Manage Excel Add-ins, click Go. Make sure the checkbox is checked next to the Analysis Toolpack. Once it is checked, click OK, and when you go back to that Data tab, on the ribbon, you should see an Analyze group and the Data Analysis button. So I'm going to click Data Analysis, I'm going to scroll down, single click Regression, and then click OK. I'm going to delete whatever is in my Y and X range because that is from the other homework problem that I was doing. So I'll start with a completely blank slate here. In my Y range, it's going to be the demand, so range A3 all the way down to A27. Our Y can only be a single column. In my X range, I'm going to select B3 down to B27. Make sure we have the same range 3 and 3, 27 and 27, because our Y and X's have to have the same number of rows. The X can have several columns, but each one has to have the same number of rows. Because I included row 3, I need to make sure that my labels box is in fact checked. If it's not checked, the regression will not work because it can't regress the word month and the words new chip introduced. It can only regress numbers. Now I'm going to click in the output range. I'm going to click the radio button for output range. Click in the output range box and just click on cell E3 and click OK. Now we can see over here that based upon our regression, we have the intercept, we have the month, so it looks like demand is going up by about 535 chips a new month, but in a month where a new chip is introduced, demand will go up an additional 4,955 chips. Now what we want to do is we want to prepare a chart of the data. What we actually want is a combo chart because we want both the month and whether there's a new chip introduced on the X, and then we want the demand on the Y. So in order to do that, our demand actually has to be to the right. Otherwise, if we set it up this way, demand is going to be on the X-axis. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new column D. So I'm going to click on the gray D, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to choose Insert. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy column A and put it into column D. So I'm going to select the range A3 down to A27. On the Home tab, hit my copy icon. Then just click in cell D3, never select a range to paste to, just click in the top left hand corner and Excel will paste down and out. So I'm just going to hit the paste key. So now my demand will appear on the Y axis instead of the X axis. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert a combo chart. So I'm going to select the range B3 all the way down to D27. And I'm going to click Insert, and then I'm going to hover over until I see Combo Chart. So I'm going to click the down arrow, and then I'm going to click Create Custom Combo Chart. So we can see over here that I have a basic combo chart. The problem is that my 0 and 1 is too small to be seen. So next to new chip introduced, again that's only going to be a 0 and 1, I'm going to tell it to graph that on the secondary axis. So I'm just going to click the secondary axis, and now we can see those months only have a new chip introduced, and it's actually very clear that on those months when a new chip is introduced, demand seems to spike. The last requirement that we have is to forecast for the next month if a new chip is introduced and a new chip is not introduced. So scrolling down to the bottom of the list, our next month will be month 25. So I'm going to click under the regression. In cell F23, I'll type month 25, and in F24, I'll type month 25. Now the first one is if a new chip is introduced. So if a new chip is introduced, we have the number 1, and if a new chip is not introduced, we have the number 0. So here in cell H23, I'll put in the regression equation. So the regression equation is the intercept plus each coefficient multiplied by the data point. So I would multiply the month by the month number, and I would multiply the new chip by either the 0 or the 1. So in cell H23, I'm going to tell Excel to take the intercept. Now if I want to copy that, I only have one intercept, so I'll lock that down with the F4. So I'll tell it to always take the intercept, and then add the month number multiplied by the intercept for the month. Now we do want the month to change, we want it to move, but we do not want the month coefficient to change. So for G20, I'll use the F4, and then I will add whether or not a new chip is introduced, G23, and I do want that to change to G24 as I copy that down. So I will leave that absolute, and then multiply that by the coefficient whether a new chip is introduced, and again that one needs the F4 because we do not want that to change. If we put other forecasts down there, we always want it to multiply by that coefficient. So I hit enter. For month 25, if a new chip is introduced, the forecast is 21,442. We can see a new chip adds about 5,000. So without the introduction of a new chip, it should be around 16,000. So I copy that to the next cell, and there it is, 16,486.